Nando staged or capped an epic comeback. We won a series against the Cubs, but lost one against the Giants. Let's talk about the last week of Padres and the upcoming week on this episode of Padres Talking Padres. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Padres Talking Padres, the #1 Padres podcast, hosted exclusively by real fathers. My name is Jay, and with me, as always, is Jerry and Jack. Or the season is over. Is that your name this week?
That's what everyone was saying. After 12 games, I was taking some heat on. I took some heat on Twitter from people that follow me.
Well, let's close this episode. Let's remember, put a pin in it. Our biggest overreaction takes on the season so far. We'll each pick our most over.
I gotta pick one.
Just one.
I gotta pick one.
Hey, one thing I do like about moving it to Thursday now is that we have the whole Cubs series to talk about instead of like just halfway through it. So I feel like I'm in a better place mentally having won that series after having a really frustrating series in San Francisco. So let's just start with the fun stuff, which is the Cubs series. And I fell asleep for it. I didn't stay up for it, but an epic comeback from 8-0 with this call by none other than Donos Orsillo. Let me put my audio on here so we can all hear just the best in the biz call this. Here we go.
Here's Fernando. Look out.
See, now me watching this, I personally was thinking he knows where the next pitch is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously he did.
Yeah.
Well, let's see that next pitch.
High drive, deep left field, at the wall, gone. Padres trailed 8-0. Nando makes it 9-8.
Whoops.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable indeed.
And his home run trot he's wearing the shoes are 19 for Tony Gwynn. His home run trot was done in 19 seconds.
I mean, just a lot of cool stuff.
That's what people are saying. I don't know.
Well, I thought it was like 17 seconds. They were talking about how his home run trot this season is faster, but
pitch block.
I fell asleep. It was late here by the time before the comeback started. It was like 11:30. I was exhausted. I was like, it's 8-0. I'm just gonna go to bed. And Jack, I think you did the same. But Jerry, did you watch the game all the way through?
Well, I was actually in Kansas City, so I was. I'll be honest with you, it was 8-0. The family I was staying with was like, good night. It's 10:30. Went up and called the wife, and as I saw the score going to 8-4, that it went to 8-7, I turned it on and I watched the rest of it, so I got to see it live. But yeah, it was about 12:30 by the time I got over. So very exciting
time. So that would have been 1:30, I think, our time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So no, very, very exciting comeback. And in fact, I think I read that it's only the 13th time since 2000 that a team has come back from an 8-run deficit.
And the Padres done it twice because we had the Danny Camarena game where we did the same thing.
That's a lot of games. Yeah.
It's because 8-0 is usually that's a mercy rule.
Yeah. I shared a video with you both earlier. Can't do it here, otherwise we'll get kicked off YouTube. But there's a streamer that just he live streams watching Cubs games, and he is the most over the top. Again, I feel like all of us are pretty passionate viewers of the game, and we can get passionate and whatever. But this guy takes it to a whole, like every little single or whatever. It's like the 9th inning of the last game of the World Series.
Right.
But he just freaks out about how good they're doing, and just seeing his descent
As
as
it
that
was,
comeback
that would have
came
been fun to watch live. Like you said, Jerry watched the whole game. Jay and I went to sleep. Like, it was 8-0. I have early morning, and I have grandkids in the
Yeah.
morning. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to sleep. And then I woke up about 2:30. I get on my computer, go to my room, and I go in the studio, and I go, oh, let me see what the final score was. Probably like 18-0 or something like that. At first, I went on Twitter. And people were still complaining on Twitter. And I go, oh, it must have been brutal. So I said, let me check. I go, and I'm like, is that saying 9-8? What the hell? So then I stayed up the next hour watching the highlights of the game.
I have to say, as exciting as it was, though, it would have meant nothing if they didn't win another game.
Yeah.
I just
agreed.
Kind of the story of the Padres this year. In fact, I was looking at it just to confirm. The Padres have not won more than 2 games in a row, and they've only done it once. Now, granted, they've only had 2 game losing streaks, so they're just, they're middle ground right now. They got to put something together, and it's not the season is over, as Jack has been hearing and I've been hearing, and watching. But at the same time, this happened last year, and what we got till, I think it was almost the end of May, and it was, wait a minute, is the season over? Because we're not going anywhere. We're not putting winning streaks together.
Well, again, we kept waiting. Okay, they're gonna click here eventually because the pitching was so good, the bullpen was good. They just couldn't win one-run games.
I will say they couldn't win one-run games, yes. And I do want to say hello to some games. Just real quick. I do want to say hello to some people in the chat. Joseph, first time seeing you here. Welcome, Joseph. Oz is back. Good to see you, Oz. And one of my favorite human beings on the earth, Tamara Gladfelter. Good to see you.
Can we block her?
No. But where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. But anyway,
you're the one that did it.
Well, I know.
Well, I just want to make sure we're talking about how they couldn't put a winning streak together.
Oh, yes, thank you. The stats are still better than last year. Like right now, I saw we're second in home runs in the MLB, second in runs scored, second in we're in terms of our stats. There's a lot of better signs so far to this year than there were in 2023, even though we're still middling around 500. So I do, this season feels better than last season, or last season we had so much expectations and it hurt so bad by the end that now we're maybe the expectations are lower. So it doesn't.
I think it's bad. The second one. The expectations are lower because last year, let's face it, you look at that lineup, and again, the pitching was really good last year. It's just the hitting just didn't deliver.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit. My expectations were high last year, but mostly because of the offense. But I wasn't as sure about the pitching.
Yeah, it kind of played out.
Coming into this year, I felt really good when they made the Cease deal. I feel like we've got a strong rotation now.
Yeah.
Last year, don't get me wrong, Walker and Lugo worked out, but at this time last year, to me, that was the big question mark.
Well, no, going into the season,
and Snell had a 4-something ERA the year before, so there was a lot of unproven last year, and I know there's a little bit this year, but I felt a little bit more confident with the pitching. It's bottom line is the consistency of the offense, and stats will look good, especially early this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at the stats earlier today. The Dodgers have 5 of the top 7 averages in the National League right now.
Yeah, they also have some of the worst ones.
Yeah, but you can't tell me. Well, unfortunately that's their first 5 hitters. But you can't tell me that at the end of the year that Mookie Betts is going to be hitting 400 and having 70.
His average is already coming down. It's like 383 now. So
it's way down. Yeah, but I think the thing for me that's encouraging is some of the players that were Cronenworth. Is having a banner start. Good. Last year he didn't, and the fact is that Bogarts, Tatis, and Machado, while the averages aren't spectacular, they're showing some power. They're getting multiple hit games, things along that line.
Yep.
So I'm more encouraged than that. And then on top of it all, my boy Jackson Merrill is doing an outstanding job.
Great.
Tate and Paulie and all these guys are Campusano's been money. So we talked about it in previous episodes. The fuller the lineup is, the more dangerous you can be. And that's why you can come back from 8-0, because last year it was, oops, we're down to number 5.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hope we can get this inning over so we can get back to the top of the lineup.
Right. You're 100% right. And that's the main difference where, in some games was it yesterday's game, but there's games where the 5 through 8 hitters have carried to the win, or then it's 1 through 3 or whatever, and you need that. That's what kind of fueled our run in the playoffs. We actually got production. Like Trent Grisham had his run, Profar had his run, Aaron Nola figured out how to hit for a little brief
hitting
run.
well this year.
I did want to talk about Profar. I'm trying to find, there's this image side by side of Profar and Juan Soto. And Profar currently has a higher OPS than Juan Soto. I do not think it's going to end the season that way. But can we talk about...
Wait. I want to talk about the hitting, though, 1 second. What I heard, I can't remember if it was on the broadcast or if I heard it on an interview or something. They said that the Padres are working more on hitting gappers.
Yes.
Throwing the ball around instead of going for power. Because they've always struggled at Petco. And I've always said Tony Gwynn, if he played at Petco, would have hit 400 because it's the bigger ballpark, bigger area. And I said finally they're not trying, because it's hard to hit a home run at Petco. I mean, you have to hit it all, especially sometimes at night when you have the marine layer and all that other stuff. So if that's the approach they're doing, I mean, because it definitely looks like Cronenworth is doing that.
Yeah. And Merrill.
Merrill,
and even
using,
I think I saw your tweet
Machado.
yesterday.
I think Machado's actually doing it, and I think that's why the power numbers are down a little bit, and he's adjusting his swing to the philosophy, and good for him. Look, Machado's, the Bogarts, the Tatises, they're going to be hot, and when they're hot, they're the kind of players that can carry a team. But with that, they're going to have some struggles, and again, the fuller the lineup, the less last year, if one of the top 4 guys didn't do it, well, we're not going to score anything. We don't have enough.
You need less outs
at the end.
Less outs in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly. And so many people, Merrill, Campusano, Profar, have stepped up and really helped make that possible. Today in the Union Tribune, Kevin Acey's Padres Daily, his daily newsletter, focused on Profar and his return to the Padres and seemingly being comfortable here. Cronenworth mentioned how he's the glue guy. And is there something to the Profar effect where he joins the Padres last season? We go 16-5. And now we have Profar here. And it's just, I think I see on Padres Twitter, VAR vibes above replacement. Is that possible? Is there somebody that just kind of has good vibes that really does fundamentally change the outlook for a baseball team? Or is that just kind of,
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Anyone who's played sports, it's hard to play with people you don't like, or you can't even respect, or they do something that's just going to piss you off. And so instead of thinking about the game, you're thinking about, oh, there's the guy that's late on the bus. There's the guy that had to make me wait. Oh, he's making all this money. I mean, I don't know who it was. About, but I'm just saying in general. But when you have a guy that's positive, comes in and has fun, you're a little looser.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something to Profar in San Diego because he plays well in San Diego. I mean, he was the #1 overall pick way back when.
Yeah.
Well, they went through his 4 different teams he's played. Yeah. And he's, below WAR on all the other 3 teams, but in San Diego he's a 0.2, which again, not a whole lot, but it's anything positive.
Yeah, but he meshes with the the other players. I mean, he just
and he has that smile, and he just has. Again, you could see even last season how lighter the team was once he joined the team.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't have to be on a team where everybody likes each other. There's Yankees for years. The they didn't like each other. They still want you. I mean, you have to have talent still, too.
Sure.
But I think it helps having a guy like that to take some of the pressure off.
Yeah. This is the line so far through yesterday, with Soto and Profar. Soto's got them on average, but they're tied on home runs. Soto's got 2 on RBI, 1 stolen base, but OPS is higher for Profar. Is there something to where like Profar being pretty protected in the lineup? You know, he's got Machado ahead of him right now. Kim's hitting better. He's right behind him. And then you have Campusano right behind him. Is there something different, or is he just on like kind of a heater and he's going to kind of go back down to player norms as time goes on? I think we lost Jerry again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for Jerry to talk. Yeah, I think if he's I don't see him hitting 333 all season.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to. Anything you get from Profar is gravy.
Yeah.
It's just one of those guys where you're just like, I mean, there's no talk about signing Pham now.
Yeah.
They were talking about what's that guy from Miami, Arez?
Yeah, Arez, Luis Arez, something. Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about trading him, and they're going to say we can put him in left field. Now, again, I'd love to have that guy. He's a Tony Gwynn type hitter. He's but what are you going to have to give up? But as of now, maybe keep the young guys and see how far you can go with Profar.
Oz makes a good point. Soto is 6'2". I didn't think he was that tall. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Never believe a baseball card.
Yeah.
Maybe he has long cleats.
Yeah. I cut out there for a second, but to me,
worries.
the important thing about this statistic right here, it shows that a guy like Profar is capable of having a 10, 12, 14 game streak. I think that's important. You know, they're not always going to do it, but having the capability of doing more than 2 or 3 games, that's pretty strong right there. That's 45 at bats. That's a lot. That's a good 10 game, 12 game streak. You need to have the guys in your lineup, no matter who they are, they need to have that capability to get hot for more than just 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good point. Really, really good point. And again, I think every Padre fan loves Profar, so I don't think anyone's upset about that.
He's one of those likable guys that you root for.
Speaking of likable guys that are we'll do this and then we'll go to the likable guys struggling. I think as long as Profar keeps his mentality about playing loose, I can see him having a solid year. Well, he also has kind of this even year thing where he's plus Noir on even years and then sucks.
So he's like Brett Saberhagen.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about a fan favorite that has been struggling, at least defensively, in a way that I don't think any of us expected. Ha-Seong Kim, going back to the Giants series, has really been uncharacteristically struggling on defense. What do you think it is? Just a bad stretch?
Struggling's kind. No, it's been brutal.
Yeah,
it's not been tough plays. I was near cursing, because I don't. I was near cursing when C's had that game going, and you guys know as well as I do, that's not the first time you've seen that where a pitcher third out thinking in their mind the guy's gone. Now, granted, Cease gave up the home run, but that really messes up with a pitcher's psyche.
Yeah,
they're human beings. They're thinking, oh, ground ball, boom, oh, I'm out, and then
it would have been another quick inning for him too.
Exactly. I don't know if he's actually wearing a glove that's made of gold or, I think it's been brutal. It really has been brutal. And the thing is I was on Bogarts at the beginning of the year and even in the Giants series about his throws.
Yeah.
He had 2 errant throws on double play balls. And it's like, what's going on with the middle of our infield?
Yeah.
It's a problem.
I mean, it could be adjustments, he
played shortstop last year.
No, I agree with Kim. Kim, I don't have an excuse for. But I could maybe see Bogarts. He's been at short for a while. There's going to be some growing pains. He just started in spring training, et cetera, et cetera. But Kim doesn't have excuse. He plays all over the field, and he's played Gold Glove all over the field.
It's got to be mental with Kim, but I'm going to say something and I love Kim. I think Kim is. I love Kim, but to me sometimes he's soft. Especially with tags. I mean, I've not, since he's been here, I don't know if it's just playing in Korea or playing in the United States, where maybe Korea they're not going to take you out. I mean, I don't know. I've not watched a lot of Korean games, but here he's not aggressive with the tags. And then when he let that ball, he just tagged him, and the ball goes. He tagged with a Solar,
yeah.
Solar, and the ball goes flying. I go, you cannot let that ball come out of your glove.
Yeah.
You cannot let you just can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It cost the game. That was that.
Oh, yeah.
Whole,
it definitely, because we would have got out of the inning without a run scored.
Mm-hmm.
And again, some of
I think all 3 runs you could attribute to Kim in the Giants game.
Oh yeah, no, it was the Kim errors, the 2 errors.
Yeah,
ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
it leads to the long-term question, and I'm not sure if I'm wavering or if I've changed, but at the beginning of the year, I was telling my son, it's like, if there's 2 things I hope the Padres do is find a way to put Cease to a long-term contract before he does what he's doing now, and extend Kim. And now I'm just not so sure. I'm kind of 50-50 on the Kim thing now.
Yeah.
At first, I thought Kim's problem was because he seemed to hesitate every time he was making a double play. Like him and Bogart are not, because if you played infield,
double play partner, it's an important thing.
It's an important thing. You have to be on the same page, and and they don't always show it.
It's always timing.
It's timing, and it just looks like Kim was messed up. So I don't know if that's affecting his overall game, because let's face it, Kim is money when it comes to especially ground balls.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like a vacuum.
Yeah,
and that's one thing I noticed like a week ago. I go, he doesn't look comfortable turning the double play.
Yeah.
And
but Jackie's made 5 errors. I believe 5 errors, and 3 of them have been just routine grounders.
I know that.
But I think, are you saying
what
it
I'm saying is
progressively makes it worse?
In your head, okay. Oh, I'm screwing up here. So because like you said,
it's a mental game.
Players are human, and when you make a couple of mistakes, it takes a while. I mean, look at Steve Sachs, who couldn't throw the ball to first base. Now, I had the same problem when I was playing softball on Saturday, baseball on Sunday. I was playing third base on both. All of a sudden I couldn't throw the ball to first base. It was in my head. I said, "Put me in the outfield. I can't make the throw." So I think Kim right now. I think it's up here.
Okay, we do not say the YIP word, PS word. We don't say it out loud. But could it venture into that territory with Kim, or if you think he's soft, or is it something where it's just it's a little growing pains, but it'll settle.
I think he's soft when
out.
it comes to tags, and sometimes
Sure.
he acts like he's been shot when ball hits him or something like that.
Yeah.
To me, sometimes but over that, but defensively, he's always been just a lot of grit. I mean, but I think maybe it started with the double play. I don't know. I'm just trying to make excuses for him, I guess. But
so you're not ready to say if it could get to the word we will not say about.
Well, if it gets to the point where you can't. Shortstop's too important position to have someone keep fumbling the ball. You can't.
I don't think you're going to see, Jay. I think that the end result. I don't think you're going to see a change in short this year. You can't go back now.
Yeah.
You're 12 games into the season again. The season's not over. It's not a microcosm of the whole year. I think Jack's point's valid. It's just, I'm a golfer. It's like putting. It goes in streaks, and when you're confident, you knock everything in. But when you got the yips in golfing,
he said not supposed to say it.
I was playing in Kansas City with a buddy, and I must have missed about a dozen 4-footers, and you just the confidence level. You're trying to pull it.
Were people booing you? Because I would have.
Yeah.
You suck!
So I mean, whether it's hitting, fielding, pitching, the whole game a lot of times rides on the confidence you have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not in the camp of giving up on him. Mine was more long term. Would you just give up on him or
no?
Do you say, well, maybe not long term though? It's yet to be determined. We're not even a 10th of the way this season. So,
well, my point was, say Kim just can't get over it. You got plenty of shortstops on the team.
We don't think it's going to happen. I agree, Jerry. It's probably this is the horse we're going to ride in on. Whatever, we got to stick with it. But let's do a little fan casting here. If that day comes, who out of our 7 shortstops do you put in the shortstop position?
You trade
The
for another
problem is I
shortstop.
don't think you want to move. I don't think you want to move any of them.
Yeah.
Tatis is gold, platinum in right field. Merrill
No,
is
Tatis stays in the outfield.
and Merrill.
and so does Merrill.
You can't do that to a kid. You've already put him through the ringer to learn
Yeah.
center field. I don't
Like
think you
Ryan
just all of a
Weathers.
sudden throw him to shortstop.
Yeah. And he's
You
done
know,
good. He's done well.
Yeah. And I think it would be a mistake mentally and psychologically to put Bogarts back there, because now Bogarts says, okay, so wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Am I your shortstop, your second base? And we've talked about it before. I don't think
Manny.
Bogarts ever goes to that side of the infield anymore.
No, his
I
arm's
think
not
you
going
need
there.
to, whether it's second or eventually first base, I think you got to leave him over there.
Yeah.
Manny would be a good choice.
Manny played well at short when Tatis got hurt.
Well, there's always the argument of who needs the better arm, the shortstop or the third baseman. I've always believed it's the shortstop. That's just me.
Why?
But the last, so because shortstops play so deep and they have such strong arms, I don't have a problem with Manny making that throw. What I have a problem with his recent surgery is if he starts pulling double
True.
plays. Double play on a shortstop side is not always a natural throw. You sometimes have to come over to the side a lot more, whereas third base is more straightforward across.
Yeah.
You don't want, I don't want,
That's fair.
Manny
No, I
DHing
wouldn't
for
want
the
Manny
next 8 years.
Yeah. No, fair. Great point. Great point.
Another thing with shortstop too is a lot of times they're going away from first base. Whereas the
Yes.
third baseman's coming towards. It's
Right.
it's the whole thing. A lot of times third baseman has to go and make that play, but if he doesn't make it, it's like, okay, big deal. But the shortstop has to make that play if he's going to the opposite side. So
yeah. Let's talk. Anything else? I guess do we want to talk about Jackson Merrill at all? We talked about him a little bit. How impressed are we? What do we like from what we're seeing so far? And do we think it's going to keep going beyond these first 12 games? Jerry, what's your thoughts on Merrill so far? You're a fan.
I think you can't help but be impressed. What I am more impressed than anything is a couple of things. Number one, his ability, which has been apparently well known, that he's ability to foul off pitches and tough pitches, taught by his dad. What I'm probably more impressed by is his maturity of not trying to pull everything. Granted, it's only been 12 games, but success sometimes lends you as a younger player to all of a sudden start trying to hit for power. He's got his one home run. It was left center, if I remember right.
Yep.
He's getting on base. He's patient at the plate.
Yep.
Drawing his, considerable amount of walks. I just hope he stays with that. And look, he's lucky. He's coming up with a team that already has 4 or 5 guys that can bomb the ball. And again, I'm more impressed by his maturity than anything. And quite honestly, I don't know why baseball is not talking about him more. I get the holidays, the trios, and stuff like that, but so far he's been the most impressive.
I know a lot of people.
Go ahead, please. Share.
I know a lot of fans are complaining that Jackson Holiday's getting us, 24-hour coverage.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I'm Jackson Merrill, I'm just cool with developing my craft.
The radar, right?
Yep. There's no pressure. There's no pressure on me. I'm not on a team that people are expecting to win the division. I got Bogarts, Machado, Tatis, and who am I forgetting? All these players that are Kim and players that are in the public eye, people know about.
Right.
Let them take the pressure and let me just develop my craft, because he hit 2 balls in Frisco that I thought were going to go out, and it's hard to hit a ball in Frisco. I go, but he's only 20. He's going to put on some more weight.
And so I want to ask Jay a question. What did you read into the fact that Schilt moved him from 9 to 8?
There was the questions about it. I believe in one of the post game after, I think it was his 4-for-4 day in San Francisco, and I think Schilt said, we'll see, but I think he's pushing that conversation forward. And I like it. I think it screwed Wade or Pauly in the 8 spot. Because if you notice, since that flip, Pauly's been sent back down and Wade's numbers have plummeted.
Don't you think in this day and age, because that used to be the pitcher's spot.
Yeah.
There were some managers that would actually put the pitcher spot in the 8th
I
batting
liked
eighth.
Maryland 9 just because he then is
Speed.
he's like the double leadoff hitter kind of.
Right.
Well, he's got the speed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
That's why I was curious about it.
I
Quite
would put
honestly,
him
I
back.
was
I'd put him
curious
back
when he
at
did it.
ninth.
Yeah.
I like it's either at 9 or move him up in the middle somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I do
I
think
think if Campusano wasn't hitting so well, he'd probably be at about 7 right now.
Yep.
But Campusano, you just like, if you're a manager, you know well and good enough to, it's like, I'm leaving that guy right where he's at.
yeah.
You know, 3-something, you know, and a strong 3-something, not just like
Yeah.
3 for
And-
4 one
and
day
another
and
hit-
0 for 4 the next.
Yeah.
Another hitter that sprays the ball around.
Yeah.
I love Campusano. I love Campy. I think
his problem the last couple of years has just been health.
Yeah, staying healthy. Well, and also his catching left a lot to be desired. Pitchers didn't want to pitch to him.
He's definitely become a much better catcher.
Well,
Yeah.
and that, come on, you know, not everybody, you know, we know Ethan Salas is just the catcher in waiting, you know,
Sure.
and hopefully we have both of them around for, you know, at least 4 or 5 years. But I think catcher, a lot of times, the younger catchers that are defensive and are perceived as going to be a great defensive catcher, they're also the guys that are going to come up and hit 210.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Campusano has always been the hitter.
Or Hedges.
And I think it was a good thing they brought him up, you know, twice before and gave him a chance to kind of learn the pitching staff. I think the stability of the pitching staff helps.
Yeah.
When you got the same pitchers, for the most part every year, as
Mhm.
far as the starters, you got Musgrove and Darvish have been around for a while. That helps. And then a couple of the young guys that are coming up, Waldron, he's already caught. If Snelling comes up, he's been in the same arena with him for a while. That always helps the catcher. You got to know the stuff.
I agree. And
you go ahead.
No, please.
You brought up Waldron, and you know, last week we were saying, should we
Love
keep him?
him.
Should we not keep him? And I said, I think we all agreed you got to keep him. And I was outside working, doing stuff outside, so I had my phone, and I'm just flicking Twitter, and I go, and the first inning, you know, I guess they gave up a couple of hits, and I'm like going, Jesus, what is the score? 10-0?
Yeah, the season is over.
So I flick over to ESPN, and I go, well, it's the top of the second, no score. I go, what? It's just they just. I think that, and I'll be fair. I mean, a lot of people on Twitter are new fans.
Yes,
they got spoiled with the big spending, and like I said, anyone who's been a Padre fan since, you know, long as us, and you know, Jerry and I from the beginning. You know, I made a joke. Hey, we have to hang on to Dave Freisleben. You were patient because, you know, you
had no choice.
You didn't have no choice. But I think people got spoiled because they probably started watching the Padres around 2019, you know, 2020.
I mean, even then though, it's like 2020 was great, 21 super frustrating, 22 is still a lot of like meandering. We kind of got into the playoffs, but we didn't go in strong. And then we had a great run in the playoffs. Right. And then 23 fell short of expectations. And so even within our like window of contention has still been filled with frustrations.
But from 20,
you're right. Yes.
Those years are still better than you go back you go back to the beginning. It's like, hey, we won 60 games. Yeah.
The fact
let's face it, we've said this before, guys. You can only point to about 4 or 5 organizations that year in, year out are in the playoffs. And if it's not in the playoffs, I mean, you know, but pretty much everybody else in baseball, you live and die by about a 2 or 3 year run. And then it's like, oh, well, you know, we lost all those guys to the 5 teams that are always in it. And you just kind of have to learn that. And again, that's why the Padres, in my estimation, have done the right thing. They're finally using their farm system.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that we got off to a good start, just to hopefully convince Preller to kind of keep his hands off his product.
Well,
let it go for a while. You know?
Speaking of that, you kind of you booted out when we were talking about what's his name? Arias from the
Marlins.
The Marlins.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, that one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Would you go after him if he was available?
No. We don't need any more infielders.
No. They said he could play outfield.
Like,
No.
who was the guy who got from
No,
the
he-
Pirates?
he's
It's Frazier. Like,
Oh,
Frazier
Frazier.
could play in the
Oh
outfield.
my God.
I honestly, Jack, I think we are finally in the camp that when the trading deadline comes along, we'll be like most of the other playoff teams and just be looking for that one extra pitcher just for depth. And who
Mhm.
knows by then, maybe it's like maybe one more starter. But look, you got to believe in what got you here. And to me, it's going to be Darvish, Musgrove, and Cease.
Yeah.
When you get to the playoffs, you got to hang your hat on those guys. And what are you going to give up, Jack? Would be the question. What would you be willing to give up?
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm
would
just
you?
saying though, to me, the only way that you're going to do anything is if you're willing to give up something you really don't want to.
Mhm.
And I'm tired of doing that.
Yeah.
I'm tired of giving up the guy.
Mhm.
We have a very strong farm system right now. I'd like to see it play out.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
we've
disagree.
got the what 6 guys that are signed to the long-term contracts already.
Yeah.
We have to find out. We can't
Mhm.
just keep doing this,
I
dial a number and throw somebody
and
out there and lose your
and
farm system again.
and to be competitive year after year after year, or at least to go,
Exactly.
you have to have a farm system, and that's
Yeah.
what's always held the Padres back, is they didn't have a farm system. They would
didn't
draft
invest
these.
in it, yeah.
If there was a stretch there, if you look like for 20 years, I think from the 70s to the almost 90s, their number one picks.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a list of who's the
And the
from
shift
bad.
the shift to that is we've hit on our picks, including Jackson Merrill. I didn't want to pass this up. This Twitter account I do enjoy. The
Oh, yeah.
Giannis Auntie Got a Poodle, whatever his name is. He pointed out some of Jackson Merrill's fielding statistics. And his reaction time in burst is plus. His routes are 0.5 less than the MLB standard. And his jump is a +2. So overall, he's making the plays, even if basically he has the speed, reaction time, and his jumps to overcome his less than stellar route.
And he's playing next to Tatis.
Yeah.
I mean, Merrill's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Well, I think that always brings up a good point, Jack, is because he is playing next to Tatis, and if you're the rookie on the team, how are you going to react? Because you don't want to, run into the guy that's been there for, already out there for 3 or 4 years as far as a
Yeah.
player. It's a tough thing because the center fielder, the shortstop, or the guys in the catcher are the guys that are in control of each of their fields.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to be the rookie leader. You're in center field, but you got to be aggressive to that. So
Yeah.
I think some of that might have to do with the routes. You're right. I think when he goes to right field, maybe he's being a little bit too circular because he thinks, well, I want to make sure that if Tatis can get to it, I don't want to get in his way, kind of
Stay
thing.
away.
And he'll learn, but
But
center field is tough to learn on the fly.
But in terms of, again, learning a new position, he is 2 feet above average in terms of coverage.
Yeah, he's only going to get
other fielders right now.
He's only going to get better. And now Padre fans are already saying they want Homer Bush Jr. to play left field, so that they'll have that.
We got to hold on to him then.
Because you remember, because Tatis is what, 24?
24, yeah.
Yeah, so got
Yeah,
a
he's an old man.
24-year-old right fielder. Your center fielder is 20 years old.
Yeah.
So again, the whole in Campusano, I think, is what, 24, 25?
I think he's 24, 25, somewhere in there.
25. Yeah. So you got a lot of youth already.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and you're also a lot of Dodger fans say, "Oh, you have to go get your team, trade for your team." Well, now we're starting to, Merrill and Campusano and some other players, some of the pitchers, we're starting to feed our own team. And again, as a small market team, the only way you can compete is to keep feeding the farm system. Then the whole thing with Preller, he's so good at building the farm system. He's just like stop. No more trades.
Yeah, exactly. Stand pat. I want to make sure we get to talking about the Dodgers series.
Oh, can I just say one more thing?
Please.
That guy's account on Twitter, if you like to follow young players, he's really good at showing you tape from young players.
Yes, he is.
In the minor leagues.
Let's talk about the pitching. Overall, pretty solid. Bullpen, little shaky at times. We had a really good streak with starting pitching until Darvish and Musgrove. They pitched well. They just had some troublesome innings that kind of derailed them a little bit.
They threw too many pitches.
Yeah, but I mean, even Darvish had a great couple innings, and then he's had one inning that kind of got away from him. And but thoughts on the pitching this past week?
He wasn't getting some calls that hurt too.
Yeah, really getting squeezed this series, the Cubs series.
Cease got squeezed yesterday.
He did. That should have been strike three.
Strike three, and you're going. And then, of course, the next pitch is
a home run.
It's the 84. It's the 98 World Series all over again.
Yeah. It's not as bad as Langston's like right down the middle strike to
pitching cannot be perfect. It cannot be perfect. Even when you got a good pitching staff, and that's why we keep hammering the consistency of the offense. You know, I've always had an argument about what a quality start is. You know, for years it was seven innings and 3 runs, and then they brought it down to 6 innings,
3 innings,
3 runs. And it's funny because now 6 innings and 3 runs, well, that's a 4.5 ERA. And in my day, Jack's day, that wasn't very good. That was a bus ticket waiting to happen.
That's Dave Fry's level.
Yeah, but look, you know, the bottom line is for the most part, except for a few starts, our pitchers are making them hit. And you know what? If a pitcher gets hit, that's one thing. I think Michael King, his first start, had 7 walks, but that's been an anomaly. You know,
he looked great against the Giants.
Yeah, so you know, you got to give some latitude, even to the best pitchers. Sometimes they just don't have their stuff. You know, talking about that series is Schilt taking out Musgrove, and I'll back Schilt 100% for what it's worth. He was struggling. He was scuffling. He was. You know, and so, unfortunately, Kolek goes in and who's been fantastic, and he gave up a home run. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you got to make calls that says, you haven't given up any. You've only given up 1 run. The bases are loaded, but that was 4 successive batters that did that, and you're up to 75 pitches. You can go to 90 and 100, but why? You're scuffling.
Yeah. You know? There was he with Musgrove, his off-speed stuff sets up his fastball.
Yeah.
And he's struggling to get the off-speed stuff for strikes. I mean, he's just struggling. But there was a stat someone posted on the Giants series. The Padres gave up 3 earned runs in the whole 3 games, and only won 1 game.
Right.
Walk off in that first one, that was frustrating, and then
so you gotta have like you said, your offense has to. You know, one game they had 11 hits and 2 runs.
Yeah,
you get 11 hits, you need to score more than 2 runs. And
they flashed it on the screen the other day, and it's the kind of stats that, you know, it's great to see. The first 6 games, and I'm ballparking here, but the first 6 games, the Padres OPS with runners in scoring position, or average with runners in scoring position, was well over 300.
Yeah, it was like 360.
In the next 6 games, it was back to like 159.
Yeah.
So I mean. You know,
but then I would say this Cubs series elevated that back up, because the 2 games our offense was clicking.
They're definitely hustling on the bases sometimes too much, because you get.
I've been a little upset about that. I was going to bring that up as a couple of the things that I've been. Profar and Kim stretching to a triple with nobody out. In both cases, nobody out.
And then you had Bogarts tagging.
You had Bogarts tag first out.
Yeah. You had Bogarts tagging up with 1 out. He's at second base on Bellinger, and he gets out.
Yeah. Well, so there's that. I agree with Shilty though on the Profar, because it had to be a perfect throw, a perfect relay to even get him out, and it was perfect.
It doesn't matter, Jack and Jay. Excuse me. It doesn't matter. It is an unwritten, or I don't even know if it's written. You don't make the first out, and you don't make the last out at third base.
But you know what, though? It's better than Joe Adele in that overrunning second base. I don't know if you saw that or not. And then Ron Washington's post-game presser about it.
I have not seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
He basically called Joe Adele embarrassing to his team, and it better not happen again in the presser.
Wow.
It was
wow, that's
great.
That's an old school. That's Billy.
Oh,
Martin,
yeah, it is.
Well, if Schilt doesn't work out,
Well, we almost hired Ron Washington a couple times.
Yeah.
But all right, before we get into the upcoming Dodger series, I gotta show this. This finally came in. I think I talked about it last week, but I bought a brick in the Padres Legacy Brick Program, and part of it was getting my second one for myself. So I have
There you go.
a twin brick
Can you
for the
hold it
brick that's
steady?
at Petco Park.
Very nice.
Hold on,
Very
hold on.
nice.
So you got a
Right.
brick. They sent you a brick.
Yeah, so this is the brick. Well, it's not the one that's at Petco. There's one in Petco right now.
Yeah.
It looks
But
like
part of
people
it
spit all
was,
over it.
huh? Yeah. But part of like buying a brick is they sent you the same brick to you have.
Oh,
like,
so it's a real brick.
it's this thing is like it's
Wow.
a real.
What do you?
real
Is it
brick.
signed? Is it signed by Pink Floyd or?
No brick in the wall. It's
Well,
actually a
Chris,
really heavy brick.
You look like you do look like you're struggling.
It's
Yeah.
heavy. It's really
I can see
heavy.
I can see sweat coming down your
Well, I mean,
face.
it's a thick brick. So but yeah, so if you're at Petco and you
This
wanna,
isn't like a drug thing, is it? There's like
no, I
drug
don't
in
think
there.
so.
Okay.
There's
All right.
no
Okay.
holes in it, but
Just want to make sure.
but
I
yeah,
know,
so
I know
the
we lost our
Glatfelter is
TV
69
contract.
to today. We love our Padres. So there it is. That's the Glatfelter family brick.
So where's it at? So we can go there. And
It's where the Tony Gwynn statue is. There's a whole bunch of bricks they added there. And I think I showed you all last week.
The new
Yeah.
Gallagher Square. Yeah.
Yeah, the new Gallagher Square, but it's up there
by
where by
is it?
Tony's statue. So go look, take a picture, because I won't get to the stadium till July probably.
July.
But anyway,
Dodger series.
Dodgers series. Dodgers are still.
Think
I
we're
mean,
ca-
they lost.
We're catching a break.
series.
We're
Yeah,
catching a break because we're not facing glass now.
but you know we did okay against him. But that's fair. Yes.
No, I mean he's their best pitcher. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
Struck out 14 his last outing.
You see Ohtani get thrown out at home like yesterday?
Yeah.
Looked like he had an interpreter on his back. I don't know. He was on his phone.
Well, the hard thing is unfortunately, I mean, I think anytime you play the Dodgers, it's going to be a tough series.
It
but
is.
They are steamrolling right now offensively. So
Yes, they are.
I hate to say it, but I think the only way we do well in this series is if we score a ton of runs. I really think it's going to come down to that. We're at the back end of our pitching, so we got King and Waldron going, and then Darvish on Sunday. But it's a tough bird, and unfortunately, this road trip and back going to the Brewers is nothing easy. Only difference there is at least they're down on pitching, but another good
Christian
offense.
Yelich has come back from
Christian Yelich is back to 2019 form right now.
Yeah, this is a very for early in the season. This is
It's
a very
tough.
telling 9-game streak because they got to play the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Those are all legitimate playoff contenders. Legitimate.
especially offensively too. They're all
and
they're all
then
good
hopefully
power.
if we do, look, I'm going to take whatever we can get, but if we can go in these next 9 games 5-4, I'll be really happy. I'll be really happy.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So are you saying they will go 5-4, or is that just where you would be happy if we went 5-4?
No, that's where I'll be happy. Yeah,
well,
there's not many times that I'm happy, so to speak, with just 500 or barely above it. But this is one instance where you just have to go out and try to get by.
Yeah, well, let's. There's
I'm
only.
gonna be a little different.
Okay.
If we don't go 9-0, this season is over.
All right, well, the next time we're gonna be on doing our show, it'll be Thursday, so only the Dodgers and Brewers series will have happened.
Yeah.
So where do you think we'll be when we come back here on the 18th next Thursday?
I hope 3-3. I really do. I hope 3-3.
Yeah, I hope so as well. It's a tough. I mean, Dodgers are always tough. They always kick our butt, and they're at home. So maybe one out of 2 there, but at least we win a game. And then Brewers hope we can pull out 2 out of 3. And
hopefully, it's the same thing as any series. Let's hope Friday night they kind of come out and kick some butt.
Yeah.
And get us off to a good start.
Yeah. Set the pace.
Yeah. I mean, and you I think it takes some of the pressure off of the rest of the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one thing we got going for us is King and Waldron. They haven't seen a lot of.
That's true.
I don't know if they've even seen.
King was in the Soul series. I think he was relieved for a few innings.
Yeah.
On the second.
And just like every other pitcher in that series, he got hammered.
Yeah. So I think that helps us, and both have been pitching well. I mean, hopefully it's Yeah, it's Yamamoto on Friday night. You just you just have to let his crap go. You have to just lay on the fastball. You can lay on the fastball.
As far as I know, he's only had one good start. So, you know,
I think his last 2 starts have been pretty good.
Yeah, I think the last 2 have been good. Was it Cubs and his 2 post the Soul series have been solid. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
I was going to ask you guys too. The surprise to me so far, and I know we're kind of getting close on time here, is how bad the West is doing compared to the other divisions.
Yeah, we're in second place at 7 or 6 and 7, or was it 7 and 8?
7 and 8, man. Because the Diamondbacks have had that losing, but they've been scoring a lot of runs, except in Colorado.
Yeah,
funny enough. But yeah, anyway. Giants are struggling. The only 4 out of their 5 wins have been against the Padres.
And
unfortunately,
I had someone message me and they said, "Why would the Padres let go?" This is he's a Giants fan before Snell pitched for the Giants. I go, you just can't pay $30 million for everybody. And I go, he wanted a lot of money. I go, I love Snell. I've said it 1,000 times. He's great. He's a great teammate. He's fun. He's fun on the radio. But he can be frustrating to watch pitch. I mean, I said, you're going to get frustrated with him. I go, he's going to throw a lot of pitches. And it was like the second inning, and I think he had like 58 pitches so far. Yep. So I sent a message saying, how you liking that pitch count? And he ended up throwing like 78 pitches.
He's out by the 3rd inning, right? 3 innings, 3 earned runs.
Yeah, because that's just Blake Snell. He's just
he's a second half pitcher.
Yes.
Always has been.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jerry, you want to do biggest surprises so far? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. I'll do biggest surprise. And well, the disappointment we already talked about is Hassan Kim's defense. Yeah. I think that's Jake Cronenworth. I want to say surprise, but if you go back and play the tape for the first episode, I was saying I think Jake's going to have a big year this year.
Yeah.
I think he's positioned well. Having said that, it's still a good surprise. It's a nice surprise for me.
It's one that's just good. It's like it makes you feel good. We all love Jake, and you could tell he was disappointed how it went. But it is.
Well,
great.
he was.
That's great.
But Jake was before he got hurt last year. Broke his arm, wrist.
He figured it out.
He was figuring it out. He was whatever he was trying to do earlier. And he's carried it over, and he's not trying to crush the ball. He's not Deadpool anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And let us know in the chat as well. Oz put his in. So yeah, if you have your biggest surprise of the year so far, put it in the chat. Jack, what's your biggest surprise of the year?
For Padres or anything?
Yeah. Padres.
I don't know.
It's a Padres podcast.
Probably that Merrill's doing as well as he is.
Okay. I mean, because you're very much like, hey, when he's struggling, we got to make sure we're not going to overreact.
We got to relax, and because he's going to hit he's going to hit that wall where he's just like, okay, things aren't like with Kim.
Yep.
So, but I just like his composure. He's just his attitude, and he's got speed. He's bringing it to base. He's what they need.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's what
what's funny watching him, Jack, and I'm sure you guys will probably recognize it. You can tell he's putting on the mature act. I mean, he's mature, but but every once in a while, the little kid comes out of him, because when he hit his home run, man, he did the little league, jumping up and down as he's going around the bases and everything. So, I almost feel like he's trying to like temper it a little bit, because it's like, I'm a big leaguer now. I can't, I can't be doing.
I'm a big man. I can't do that.
Last I look, he's hitting 286. So yeah, keep it up, kid.
Yeah. Agreed. I agree with Aaron Clanton, whoever that is. I don't know. It seems an untrustworthy fella.
Yeah.
He's saying Profar. I agree with I love seeing Profar do well. Yep. I love that. And sorry, Oz, her, not him. So she says that Yuki Matsui is her favorite breakout, and
I love watching him pitch.
Yeah, he's done great. And like the past couple relief,
control
like what,
pitchers
7
are fun
pitches,
to watch,
4 pitches. What's
that?
Yeah.
As a control, pitchers are fun to watch.
Right?
Pitchers. They're pitchers. They're just not throwing 100 miles an hour. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad we got Suarez, because seeing him light up the toe cord with 100, 102 and all that is great.
And
I agree with Oz. I love pitchers.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pitchers, even though he wasn't with the Padres, but for a couple of years, was watching Greg Maddux at the end of his career.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It was delightful just to sit there and watch him pitch.
Yeah. And I still remember watching him pitch with the Braves as a kid, and just seeing his control, like
The
it
professor.
was it was
Because he didn't
always
look like
fun to
an
watch.
athlete.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and
Anyway.
he was the one that, used to, when somebody asked him, it's like, so, when you have an 0-2 count, you waste a pitch, and he goes, why would I do that?
Yeah.
I mean, straightforward. It's like, why would I do that?
Mhm.
My job is to try to, for a guy who was a strikeout pitcher at the beginning of his career and, turned into more of the pitcher,
Mhm.
he always had the philosophy is the less pitches I have to throw, the better.
Yeah.
And this is before pitch count really became a thing.
Yeah.
This was
Also, it's better
just
for your
always his philosophy.
it's better for your defense.
Yeah.
I say it 1,000 times. When a guy's out there, even like a Blake Snell, you'd see the infielders and their heads rolling around, their feet. You're not concentrating because you're just throw a strike. You got defense behind you. But Greg Maddux and Frank Tanana is another one because he was with Nolan Ryan, a power pitcher, and he blew out his arm and then became a pitcher.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much hanging out tonight for Padres Talking Padres. We'll be back next Thursday night, same time, 8:15. Hopefully, actually 8:15 next time. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Oz, Aaron, Tamara. It's Tammy to me, but how is it Tamara? Am I pronouncing it right? Tamara.
Yes, it is.
And Joe's good to see you earlier. Everybody in the chat, thanks so much for hanging out tonight.
And despite my predictions or my happiness, let's go 6-0.
Yeah,
I'm okay
why
with
not?
that. I'm okay with that. I'll be wrong.
I already said 9-0. So.
On that note, we'll see you all next week. Hasta luego and goodbye.